Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most exciting games on Roblox, Jujutsu Shenanigans. This game is a total blast, combining a crazy variety of characters from the Jujutsu Kaisen universe with fast-paced, action-packed gameplay. Whether you're a seasoned player or just getting started, knowing which characters stand out can give you a huge advantage. That's exactly why we've put together the ultimate character tier list to help you out. No matter who you're rolling with, this guide will ensure you're making the best choice for your adventure. In this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into both the old school and new school characters of Jujutsu Shenanigans. We'll break down their strengths, skills, and abilities so you can figure out which ones are worth your time and which might need a little more work to shine. So sit back, relax, and get ready to level up your gameplay, because by the end of this video, you'll be armed with all the knowledge you need to dominate your next match. Let's get started. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking characters in Jujutsu Shenanigans. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching! The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Hiromi Higuma. Alright, let's talk about Hiromi Higuma for a bit. Now I know what you're thinking. D tier? Really? But hear me out. Hiromi might not be the flashiest character in Jujutsu Shenanigans, but there's something strangely satisfying about playing as him. He's one of those characters that doesn't blow you away with raw power or insane combos, but once you get the hang of his moves, he can be surprisingly fun. It's all about that skill curve. He's a bit of a hidden gem if you ask me. Sure, he was an early access character, and that means he's not as tough or versatile as some of the other more polished fighters. But here's the cool thing. He's still got that charm. There's something uniquely enjoyable about figuring out how to make the most of his kit. If you're a player who's already got some experience under your belt, Hiromi can be a blast to play with. You'll find yourself pulling off some sneaky strategies and feeling like a total mastermind, especially when you make the most of his less conventional moves. At the end of the day, Jujutsu Shenanigans is all about having fun and experimenting with different characters. Hiromi Higuma might not be the powerhouse others are, but he's still a solid choice for those who enjoy a challenge. And honestly, the fact that you can make him work if you're skilled enough just goes to show how balanced this game really is. So, if you're up for a bit of a challenge and want to stand out from the crowd, give Hiromi a shot. He might just surprise you. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Choso. Alright, let's talk about Choso in Jujutsu Shenanigans. This guy's got some solid tricks up his sleeve, but he's not exactly the easiest to master. I mean, if you're new to the game, Choso might feel like a bit of a challenge. His blood manipulation ability is cool, no doubt. He can control those blood orbs to keep enemies at a distance and even dish out some pretty decent damage. But here's the catch. He's not all that versatile. The guy needs those blood orbs, and without them, he's kinda left hanging. When it comes to damage, Choso isn't bad at all. In fact, for a lot of experienced players, he's like a hidden gem. If you know how to manage your orbs and time your attacks, you can really make him shine in the right hands. However, compared to other characters, his overall potential just feels a bit limited. He excels in crowd control, sure, but when it comes to raw 1v1 combat, there are other characters that just outshine him in versatility. Choso's damage is great, but he's not the most flexible fighter in the game. So, where does he land in the tier list? Well, Choso definitely sits in C tier. Don't get me wrong, he's got potential, but he requires a ton of setup to really get the most out of him. If you're a pro, you might see the full value of his powers, but for the average player, you'll probably feel frustrated trying to get those blood orbs to work just right. So, while he's a solid pick for veteran players, newcomers might want to look elsewhere unless they're up for a challenge. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Megumi. Alright, let's talk about Megumi Fushiguro. This guy is kind of a puzzle. One minute, he's pulling off some insane combos with his 10 Shadows technique, and the next, he's getting knocked out in a single hit. He's a B tier character, and honestly, that's where the fun begins. If you're looking for a challenge and a character that really makes you think, Megumi is your man. But I gotta say, he's not exactly a powerhouse like some of the top tier guys. His moves are pretty technical, requiring some serious planning to get the best out of him. On the flip side, Megumi is actually pretty beloved by fans, not just because of his moves, but also because of his lore. He's a strategic fighter, not someone who'll just brute force through everything. That's what makes him a bit tricky to master. With lower health and the fact that his moves can be blocked, he's definitely more on the fragile side. And don't even get me started on Sukuna. One wrong move, and Megumi can be wiped out in an instant. It's kind of wild how much you need to be on your toes to play him effectively. But hey, even with all his weaknesses, Megumi's still a blast to play. He's a unique character that forces you to think strategically, making every win feel earned. He's not the easiest to handle, but when you pull off a well-timed combo or land a devastating shadow technique, it's so satisfying. So, while he might not pack the firepower of an S-tier character, Megumi is definitely one of those characters who rewards patience and skill, and that's what makes him so fun. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Gojo and Hakari. Alright, let's talk about two characters who are probably sitting at the top of the Jujutsu Shenanigans tier list right now, Gojo and Hakari. Now, these two are no strangers to anyone who's dabbled in the game, but today, we're going to dive a little deeper into why they're A-tier and whether or not they deserve all the hype. First up, Gojo. The honored one. The guy who makes everyone who faces him think, well, this is going to be a short match. Gojo's got everything. Combos that practically chain themselves, high usability for beginners, and a seriously strong ultimate move that can end a match with style. But here's the catch. He's pretty predictable once you face a pro player. Sure, his abilities are awesome early on, but if you're not careful, you'll start feeling like a broken record, doing the same moves over and over again. That's why, while Gojo shines at first, he can easily slide into the B tier if you're facing someone who knows exactly what to expect. But for newbies, Gojo is a dream. He's reliable, and with a bit of practice, you'll have an easy time dominating the battlefield. Now, let's talk about Hakari. Oh boy, Hakari is a whole different beast. He's that character you look at and think, nah, he can't be that good. But then, once you get him to his final form, you're like, wait, is this guy even fair? Hakari's all about those high-risk, high-reward moves. His playstyle's not exactly beginner-friendly, since he heavily relies on jackpots to really shine. But once you nail that, oh man, he hits harder than a freight train. If you're looking for a character who can absolutely wreck in a 1v1, Hakari's your guy. The real kicker though? He's a rush-type character, and he's better at taking down single targets than dealing with groups, so if you want to make sure every punch counts, Hakari's got your back. However, don't get too cocky with him just yet. Hakari's reliance on those jackpots is a double-edged sword. You could get all the luck in the world and become nearly unstoppable, or you could get unlucky and find yourself stuck in a cycle of hope and despair. The gamble here is real, but if you're the type to embrace a bit of chaos and you've got the skill to back it up, Hakari is a true powerhouse. He's got some of the coolest combos in the game, and when you're feeling lucky, you'll feel like nothing can stand in your way. So, to wrap it up, Gojo is the safe bet. If you're just starting out or you want a reliable, versatile fighter, Gojo is your guy, no questions asked. But as you get more experienced, you might find yourself wanting something more unpredictable and explosive. That's where Hakari comes in. Mastering him is like playing your cards right in a game of poker. Sometimes it pays off huge, and other times, well, you're just hoping the next jackpot is your ticket to victory. Either way, both of these A-tier characters bring something unique to the table, and depending on your playstyle, one might end up being your favorite in the game. And that's the beauty of Jujutsu Shenanigans. Every character has a bit of mystery and fun in their playstyle. What do you think? Are you leaning towards the safe bet with Gojo? Or do you love the rush that comes with mastering Hakari's gambling nature? Let me know in the comments. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Yuji Itadori, Vessel, Megumi Mahoraga, Mahito Perfection, Mahito Distorted Killing, Strongest of History, Aoi Todo, Switcher, and Locust Guy. Alright, let's get into it. If you've been playing Jujutsu Shenanigans and wondering which characters truly stand out, let's break down the S-tier fighters. These are the ones you'll want to master if you're aiming to dominate the game and leave your opponents in the dust. First up, we have Yuji Itadori, aka the Vessel. This guy is a total powerhouse once you figure out his moves. He's got amazing mobility, and whether you're taking on hordes of enemies or going up against a single target, he can do it all. But here's the thing. If you're still learning the game, Yuji might feel a bit underwhelming in terms of damage output against multiple enemies. Don't worry though, once you've got the hang of things, Yuji is a solid S-tier pick. His awakening and counter moves are absolutely lethal, and in the hands of an experienced player, he becomes an unstoppable force. For beginners, he's more like an A tier, but you'll get there. Now, let's talk about Megumi Mahoraga, or rather his 10 Shadows Mahoraga form. This character is straight up broken. Seriously, it's like they didn't even try to balance him. Mahoraga does everything right. He's got crazy damage, fantastic range, and is pretty much unbeatable if used properly. He's the kind of character that you can just stick with for the long haul, and you'll always be on top. Some people think he needs a nerf, but honestly, if you know what you're doing, Mahoraga can carry you through any situation with ease, and that's exactly why he's S tier. Mahito Perfection takes the next spot. If you're looking for a character that has everything, and I mean everything, then Mahito is your guy. His range attacks? Deadly. Close range combat? Lethal. High damage output? Check. And don't even get me started on his mobility. You need to be a top tier player to truly harness Mahito's potential though. For those who can master his movements, his final form is just pure chaos. If you're still a beginner though, he's more of an A tier character. But once you level up your skills, watch out, because Mahito will wreck anyone who stands in his way. Speaking of wrecking, Mahito Distorted Killing is one of the strongest in the game, period. This guy's the full package, powerful moves, insane damage output, and a combo that'll leave you speechless. His Super Awakening move? It's one of the best in the game, no doubt. It's a character that doesn't have any significant weaknesses, and whether you're a rookie or a seasoned veteran, he's a total beast. Some say he's the best in the game, and after playing him, I can't really argue with that. If you're looking for a powerhouse, this is the character to pick. Then there's Ryomen Sukuna, Heian era form, also known as the strongest in history. To be honest, Sukuna's so strong that they had to add him later in the game as a special unlockable character. This guy is just insane. Whether it's his long-range combos or brutal melee attacks, he's got everything a fighter could want. He's perfect for aggressive players who love to go all in and take full advantage of his tanking abilities. If you want to feel like an unstoppable juggernaut, Sukuna's your man. He's definitely an S tier pick if you're into dismantling your enemies with style. If you like to switch things up in battle, then Aoi Todo, Switcher is exactly what you need. Todo's got some of the highest damage output in the game, and his counter moves are top tier. With a healthy mix of damage, mobility, and the ability to surprise your opponent, he can dominate in both close and long-range combat. Honestly, his switch ability is so powerful that many people think he's overpowered, and for good reason. With unblockable moves at your disposal, you can totally break your enemy's defense and leave them scrambling. S tier for sure. Now, let's dive into Locust Guy, aka Kogai, or the Locust Curse. This character is definitely one for the more experienced players out there. If you don't know how to handle curses, you might struggle with Locust Guy. But if you do know your stuff, he becomes an absolute powerhouse. His combos are ridiculous, and with the right curse setup, he can dish out some of the most insane damage in the game. It's a character that rewards mastery and strategic thinking, but if you're up for the challenge, Locust Guy is definitely S tier material. Just make sure you know what you're doing before picking him up. So there you have it, the Jujutsu Shenanigans S tier characters. Each one brings something unique to the table, and while some are more challenging to master than others, they all have the potential to absolutely wreck your opponents. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a newcomer to the game, these characters will give you the tools you need to dominate the battlefield. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.